These voices belong to Canadian Armed Forces members and veterans speaking together at the Royal Canadian Legion, Branch 645 in Wasaga Beach, Ontario, in January 2026. What you are about to hear is part of a storytelling project to preserve the voices and lived experiences of some of the men and women who choose to serve in the Canadian Armed Forces.
Scott, I've got just retired yesterday. I got my vet card yesterday, so officially out after 37 years. I did 10 years in the Army Reserves, did 2 Armored Corps and Combat Engineer. Transferred to the Air Force for as AVN for 22 years. Got out of the Reg Force, back into the Reserves. Did that for a bunch more years till yesterday, and now I'm out officially civvy. My wife served as well. We met way back when in the Reserves, back many years ago. Married, and then she eventually joined the Reg Force as well. Back then they didn't have the pension for the reserve, so it was like, well, you might as well join and work on your pension. And then eventually she did much better than me, and we kept on going. And it was a pretty good career for us. We enjoyed it. I don't have too many complaints, but yeah. Somebody else?
I'm Carol. I wore a Navy uniform, but served mostly with the Army. My trade was a chaplain. Better part of 17 years. I was medically released a few years ago, so enjoyed the different postings that we went to. My spouse and I joined the military together. Certainly made a difference for our children in different ways. It allowed them not to finish university with a lot of debt, because we could help them in that way. But it meant sometimes that for the better part of the year they were living with one parent or another, but not both of us, because we were either posted apart, or we were out of the country working, or we were teaching at the chaplain school, or just different things that we would say the military helped to keep the marriage fresh, because we weren't always together.
Yeah.
But certainly enjoyed the work, enjoyed working with, being a chaplain, you get a different view of the military. You get to hear of people's concerns and comments and complaints, but you also get to celebrate the joys of life with them. And so to be on tour, to be on a tasking with military members who are doing their trade and playing at the top of their game, it's really neat to watch Canadian soldiers work and do that work with pride and with care. And that goes across from signalers to loggies to the engineers doing stuff to the pointy end, shooting in the right direction. It's everyone has a task, and they know the task, and they get behind it. It's an impressive institution.
My name is Jack. I did just over 36 years, 15 years in the reserve. I was a signal tech in the Army, and I medically released. But it was time to go anyway, I think.
You know.
Yeah. And, I've been, halfway across Canada, I guess. Started in Newfoundland, went to Kingston, Ontario, to Petawawa, Ontario, back to St. John's, Newfoundland, Gander, Newfoundland, and then CFP Borden, where I retired, and still live in the area, and plan to live in the area half the year, and the other half down south. That's about it for now.
That's good.
All right, my name's Mike. So I'm still a serving member, just over 20 years. I started off as an NCM, so until about 17 or 18 years working with the RCLS, the Royal Canadian Logistics Service. And then I decided to apply for the University Training Program, NCM, and go back to school and become a training development officer, which basically work with curriculum design and advising occupations on how to build a curriculum and instructor development, stuff like that. Postings, I was starting my career in Petawawa, where I actually served with Carol. We moved to Trenton, Montreal, and here in Borden, where I'm hoping to finish off my career. I joined likely because both my brothers served. My oldest brother served 37 years. My other brother served 24 years when he was medically released. I think it was kind of expected me to do so and follow in their footsteps, but I was kind of resistant at first. So I went to school and stuff, and then I didn't join at 18 like they did. It was probably around age 25 that I joined. But my nephew also followed in our footsteps. He's also the same occupation that I was, and both my brothers were. And I actually got to command his platoon on parade when he graduated, and both my brothers were there. My brother, one brother was a chief at the time and accompanied the reviewing officer. My other brother was there, and we got called up together to present my nephew his cap badge, and it was like probably around 80 years of service between all of us and my immediate family to the same occupation. So that was kind of a unique moment.
Yeah.
But
It would have been cool.
yeah,
It
it
would
was.
really cool. Yeah.
I'm Murray. I was an Army chaplain for almost 20 years. My spouse, Carol, who we just heard from, is my spouse. And we joined together well over 20 years ago, and we served together. We deployed multiple times, and one of the things is that when someone deploys, the family deploys, and so I hold it that my family deployed with me, as well as when Carol deployed, we deployed with her, because there was those stresses of what took place. So we've been apart at Christmas times and birthday times. So it's been a challenge for families to be part of the military. But I enjoyed my time. I was as a chaplain. You're posted to usually different regiments, and different at different locations. So we served with infantry and engineers and artillery and service battalions and all over. And it was a real privilege to be part of those families, all those regiments and units. They banded together, and you had your own family, but you also had your regimental family, and those are one of my favorite military memories of being part of that cohesion of groups, and that we're all in this together. And that I always realized that, that when we deploy, we don't deploy the soldier, we deploy the family. And I hope as chaplains we were able to be that bridge between families at home and the soldiers deployed. So it really was a privilege to serve our Canada as members. And I think the Canadian forces are probably the best forces in the world as we go around the world to hopefully make peace or bring peace to where places of conflict and chaos are.
Talk a little bit about postings. I had a few. Trenton was my first posting. We were there for 10 years. Was due, time to move, something different. One of the reasons I joined the military is because I need to do something different all the time. I need a change. I can't do repetitive work. I worked in a factory for a day, and that's all I lasted. I just can't do the same thing over and over again. That's why the military was good for me. So yeah, we started out in Trenton, posted to Cold Lake, didn't think we'd really like it. Went out to Cold Lake, Alberta, absolutely loved it. Never wanted to leave, but of course when you don't want to leave, that's when they move you, right? So after 4 years, we moved to St. Hubert, Montreal area, did that for a year. It was a very interesting year. And then moved to Gagetown, New Brunswick. Absolutely loved it. Thought we wanted to stay there forever. So again, what happens 4 years later? They moved us again, came to Borden. Was in Borden not even a year. Career manager wanted to see me, went in and seen him, and he's like, congratulations, you're promoted. he said, but we got to post you again because there's no room for you. And that's kind of the time after all those moves. I'm like, time out. I'm not going anywhere. We just got here. It's turned down the promotion and stayed for another year, and then got out, and it was a good decision. Love it in Wasaga Beach. Not going anywhere else. I thought we were going to go back to New Brunswick. But we ended up with a granddaughter live in this area, so it's family and staying here, and the beach is a pretty good spot to live. So I think if we would have stayed in one spot longer, it might have been easier. But when you're growing roots and you get them too deep, then you don't want to leave, and then it's even harder to leave. So don't know the correct answer. Don't know, but it was.
Community is really important, isn't it?
Yeah, community.
You're in, and
Yeah.
whether like.
Yeah, cool. When I first got to Petawawa, I was like, Petawawa.
Yeah.
I was a city boy too, and they sent me there, and I was like, it was a transition, but once I was there, and that sense of camaraderie and community there, I didn't want to leave. I found that too. But
That was the same. Cold Lake.
Yeah.
Nobody had any place else to go, right? Family was too far. City was too far. Every weekend there was something going on at the mess or at somebody's house. So yeah, you were a lot closer knit. When you come to the larger areas, I find people are not as closely knit. Yeah, for sure.
one thing I will say is, at least I was fortunate enough. A lot of my earlier postings that were consecutive close together was when my kids were young. They weren't even in school. So we got here in 2017, and that's really when they started to put roots in. And I'm hoping to finish my career there. So at least there's not that impact on them, or I think to have that foundation here anyway. So I'll say I'm fortunate in that regard. I got all those out of the way before they got to that age.
Before you got to that age.
Yeah.
We were posted Kingston to Petawawa when our oldest was going into his last year of high school. And Canadian Forces has a program that if you're moving province and the child's in their last year, they'll pay to room and board that child to finish high school because the curriculum is so different from province to province.
Yeah, I think it's important too to acknowledge the strain it puts on, relationships, marriages, and stuff too. Like you said, you deploy the family, but and not that it's harder for when both are serving, but it does add even more to it. When one's serving, it's still hard for them to be away. When both are serving, and you're flipping tours back and forth, time away, postings, that puts strain on marriages and stuff too. A lot of people I know in the military are not on their first, myself included.
Yeah.
Right, so.
We definitely went through a lot of that early 2000s when Afghanistan stood up.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going over, and I'd come back, and then 8 months to a year later, then Rebecca was going over, and she came back, and then I was going over. Came back, and then she went over. Definitely a huge strain on our marriage. Luckily, the military does, screen you for that type of stuff when you're coming back and forth, and we ended up doing lots of couples counseling to reconnect, find ourselves again, and bring the family together. So luckily it worked out for us, and we're still together. But huge hard. Like you come, like you said, you come home and then try to work with your kids, and they're like, and then a year later, then you're losing the other parent. It was just
and even just falling into that same schedule with everybody and understanding things kept going while you were away, or the other person coming back to, because my ex was military as well, coming back and trying to put things back the way they were, but we were functioning a certain way, and exactly, moved on, and I think it was a 1.3 years almost straight. Basically, we didn't see each other except for a few weeks here and there. Especially if you're deploying with another base, and then your 6-month workup training in Edmonton, for example, before you're going away on an 8-month tour. And then same thing with me prior to that, and then coming back and going on training or whatever the case may be.
It was
That was during Afghanistan.
while you were training. It was you get 1 weekend off a month.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
So you'd be going 6 days probably on exercise per week.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the month, you get a 4-day
Break.
Long weekend.
Yeah.
So, and that went on for 5-6 months.
Yeah.
And then you were gone
Yeah.
for 3, 6, 8 months,
Yeah.
depending.
There's a lot of lead up training that
Right.
takes you away from your family, and then boom, you're really away.
Yeah.
But it's really, if you deploy for 8 months, you've already deployed basically the year before, and all that work up training. And
Yeah.
that has a lot of challenges for sure.
Yeah, I was spending a few months in California one time.
Exactly.
Before, 3 months in California, 3 months in
Wainwright.
Texas,
Yeah.
and Wainwright for another one. I was supporting one since my tours in Texas and California. Those two anyway.
Yep.
But yeah, it's you're away from your family for that too.
Technology has changed too. Jack, you must have seen
sure.
so much technology that when you deployed,
When
you first deployed,
When I first got trained, we were trained on the teletype. And this thing was from the 1940s. And the day that we finished the training on it, they took it out of the system. But we had to train on it because you had to learn how the mechanics and everything worked. And then started moving into all computerized. And when we first started out, when I first started as a technician, the technology that went to the field was very minimal. They didn't have any of these ruggedized computer systems. And then we started to do the rollout of that kind of stuff back in the late 90s. And now it's probably all completely changed again. But yeah, you were constantly, I know in my case, I was constantly in training. Like every year there was 1 or 2 different new pieces of equipment to be trained on. So yeah, it was
and then contacting home. I mean, if you were
Yeah.
when you deployed, like even in Afghanistan, you had to book a time
Yeah.
to
well,
Skype
that was the
your family.
nicety about my job because I
Right.
repaired that stuff.
right.
So I would go to the mountaintops where we would have repeaters for the satellite comms back home.
Yeah.
And I would have the direct link. So if I needed to make a phone call, I just cut everybody else off and I make the phone call. And that was the good part about the job. You could do that. So yeah, I remember calling my sister on her 50th birthday from a mountaintop in Bosnia. She was so surprised. Yeah. But yeah, in my occupation, we didn't have, well, specifically me and as a tech, we didn't have the regimental behind us. We were assigned to a unit.
Little pockets.
So we could be assigned to the Royal Canadian Regiment, we could be assigned to the artillery, we could be assigned to the armored, and you went with them on a specific operation tour, and you did their work that they needed done, repairs. So, you're getting to know people continuously, and you worked with the same group all the time. So that was one drawback from my trade, anyway, that I saw. But it was also good because I like to work, not necessarily alone, but like as a technician, you got your job, you know what it's supposed to be. You got your guy with you that's learning, or your driver, depending, and you just go. And that's the part I liked about it when we were overseas. I wasn't stuck in one spot like a lot of guys are, like manning a centric point or
Talk or something.
yeah. So I got to go places and got to see what was going on in the whole country, so to speak. So that one aspect, you learn a lot about how it started in terms of wars, how people interacted, how because you get to talk to a lot of people. Because I know a lot of guys go over there and they don't understand why they're there. They just know they got to do a job and then go home. But I like to figure it out, what's going on, how it started.
I had another kind of question. Why did you join? Myself, I know I joined, I was in Scouts when I was younger. After Scouts, I joined into Air Cadets, And then from Air Cadets, I joined the reserves, the Armored Corps. And the reason I did a lot of that is because my mom made me, because I needed a little bit of structure. I'm sure she wanted me out of the house because I was a very busy young boy, right? Always needing things to do. But then when I got into it, I really enjoyed the military aspect of it because it was always different. It wasn't the same thing. There was always a variety. There was always something. I enjoyed serving. I enjoyed the friendship and the people I met. And that's, what really kept me going is just something different all the time. And I really enjoyed the military too, right? So I liked it. And kind of one of the reasons why I joined. I know some people join because their family joined. My grandfather was in World War II. Other than that, I had absolutely no family in the military. Grandpa didn't really talk too much about the war, never wanted to. He was one of 2 guys left in his platoon after the war. All the rest of them had been killed in action. He started in Sicily and worked his way all the way up into Holland. So it was quite a long battle for him. That's where he met Grandma, in Holland, and then he stayed after the war to guard the leftover equipment, right? Which meant they just got to stay there with their brides or their girlfriends or whatever they had met. And eventually married and brought Grandma back home and back to Canada. So, yeah.
Want to tell where you joined?
I know why I joined. I was, my first degree is in kinesiology, and I'd applied to get in the RCMP, and I'd been accepted and was waiting to go take training, and then met this guy. So, you kind of have your head in that life of service, like, good single career, but not a good married career. And then we got married and did a pile of things. But we were both in churches apart from one another, and it was time for a change for both of us in parish life. And so Bishop was saying, you can go to Orangeville and you can go to Cookstown. Like, that's not, we don't want to work together, but we don't want to not be together. Then you meet the recruiting person who says, we can keep you together. Do you like camping and long walks with weighted packs? Yeah, so it was talking to people who've done the job of being a chaplain. But there was that aspect of, as you say, that there's a regimental life and it's a uniform service. So what do I put on in the morning? Done. What am I going to do for exercise? Done. They want you to be healthy. They want you to be fit mentally and physically. They want you out there being with the troops. And that all made sense to me. That type of life made sense. So I was keen to join.
I struggled with that call to military. I enjoyed parish ministry. I like that sense of community, that sense of being all together, and I didn't see that in the military. I really thought it can't be just a bunch of, I guess I didn't know what it was. So really, really struggled with my call, to God and saying, God, are you sure this is what you want for me? I knew it was the right call for my family. And so that was good. And that's why basically I put my name forward to be a military chaplain. And eventually, as it unfolded, it wasn't what I thought it was. There was community, and there was a camaraderie and a purpose. And certainly, as a military chaplain, we walk with the soldiers, and similar to Jack, that you're posted to different regiments. You're not necessarily posted to a chaplain regiment. You're one of one in a group of 1,000 soldiers, right? That you're there to minister to them or to provide some pastoral care, and that was truly a privilege. And so eventually I came to realize that was a good calling, but certainly did struggle with it. It was good work, and I thought I made a difference. So yeah, why not do that? So, but did struggle to say, I don't want to get dressed in a uniform and march and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes, you know, you'd be rock marching with the infantry and thinking, oh God, this is going to kill me. I'm going to die here. And you know, chaplains join later usually in their careers, because they need the academic qualifications to qualify. And so, you know, I wasn't a young 25-year-old at the front of the column. I won't say I was bringing up the rear, but I certainly was in the middle, sucking along every once in a while. So it certainly did have its challenges, but enjoyed the challenges as well. But did struggle saying, oh, I don't think this is for me. But
Familiar expression when I first joined was happy wife, happy life. And I always say happy spouse, happy house. Because you both have to be happy. But yeah, there are times when as you said, I went to the career manager and they said, this is where you're going. Well, you got to take that news home.
Yeah.
Right? I had a major call once and say, your Batemans are up for posting Petawawa or Valcarce. And I said, Valcarce. And he said, do you want to talk to your husband? And I said, have you talked to my husband? Well, maybe. So yeah, how do you balance? This would be great. I think this would be great. Well, I think this would be great. And sometimes it's the career wrangler that says, and you're both going,
There.
yeah,
Yeah.
somewhere different.
yeah, we've gone places we didn't want to go.
Yep.
Part of the gig. Part of the gig, yeah.
I also struggled with the idea of joining too, and I think it was because it was expected of me. Like I said, both my older brothers, 15, 16 years older than me. Not to mention that my mom was one of 18 kids, and a lot of her brothers served in like the 50s, 60s, 70s, like an older generation, but in different regiments and stuff. But so I don't know, I was resistant to it, wanted to do my own thing, and then, you know, as life does for some people, maybe it was a little crooked path. But it was what I needed at the time. I decided myself to do it, and I immediately fell into it. It was like, this is what I needed and wanted to. And I knew right away that was the right decision, and I was proud. But, yeah.
Yeah. You, Jack?
Well, let's see. I joined the reserves when I was 18. So I had a good idea what the infantry was. So I did 13 years.
Yeah.
And I said, there's no way I'm going into the regular force in the infantry. And every time I went to the recruiter, this is all we're offering. And I had some background in electronics and electrical, but nope, wasn't good enough for them. So I stayed with the reserves till I got the rank of sergeant, and then I devised the plan. I'm going to go to the reserve comm squadron. I went to them. I did training with them in infantry stuff. And they said, would you like to join us? I said, well, I want to do electronics, and I know I can get it through you guys. And they said, well, we can't guarantee that. We can take you as a telephone technician right now. I said, oh, shit. I'll take it. Okay. So they knocked me down in rank to a corporal. And then the week before I got sent to Kingston to start my training, said, oh, there's been a change. You're now going into electronics technician training. Perfect. Sweet. That's just what I wanted. So I went there and I did my training for just over 14 months. And then I went back home and I did some on-the-job training with the reserve squadrons for about 6 months. And then while I was still in Kingston, a recruiter came to us and said, who would like to join the regular force? And I said, well, what are you offering? Because I wasn't going in as a private with basic pay.
Right.
And they said, no, we'll offer you the highest pay level for a corporal. Okay, great. I'll take it. And so I went home, and then I finished my on-the-job training on the 10th of February. I don't regret it at all. I mean, I wish I had come in the earlier part, so I didn't have to do 36 years. So, it's just the way it happens.
There are days when you're having a really good day and you say, geez, I should have done this years ago.
Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah.
And then there are days when you're at the foot of the friggin' RCR hill going, I should have done this years ago. My body can't do that.
Yeah.
I've seen the pictures. It was cool.
It was cold. It was very cold. But we were well trained, I must say.
Well equipped.
Well equipped. We trained hard in Newfoundland before we went on that exercise. And we trained in Newfoundland. We trained in Ontario, North Ontario, and then we went overseas. And it was good. And I was younger then, and it didn't bother me. Skiing over the mountains in Norway, it was pretty good. But now,
Any fool can be wet in the field.
I've never liked cold, but I went to the Arctic too. It was like adventure training, but it was like Arctic survival training. So it was if your plane crashed in the
Yes.
Arctic, how to survive. It was done with rangers and Inuit, and we lived in igloos and a great experience, but never want to do it again. Right? It was amazing, once in a lifetime, but it's just a cold. Even at one point they drive you out in the middle of nowhere, and you have to build your own
Build
igloo.
your own igloo and sleep in it.
And they seal you inside and you sleep in it, and our double sleeping bags.
Yeah.
And then the Ranger blanket had that, and then and the whole outer layers froze rock solid. And you get a little claustrophobic. I have no idea how much time's passing, and they let you out because you're in there for however long, no watch or anything. That part got to me, but beautiful, amazing experience. Yeah, we couldn't even.
He lit his candle for too long.
Normally, we're supposed to have like an Arctic candle. That would
Yeah.
warm your igloo enough, but they rotated each day, and somebody the day prior had fallen asleep and set himself on fire, basically, and he was stuck out there because you're sealed inside. So when the Rangers and the staff went to let him out, he was all burned up and burned his feet. So they're like, no more candles. Everybody's freezing for the rest of the time. It was amazing, though.
It was good.
Yeah.
Did you do it with your big knife?
I have it. My pinata. It's at home. Yeah. So, because they present you a snow knife, right?
Yeah.
It's like you've earned.
Were you with Carol?
I guess I don't even remember. There
I
must have
framed
been.
mine.
What's that?
I framed mine.
Yeah. I have it at home.
Somebody's going to lose a finger with this.
Yeah, like the elders, it's presented to you that you've
Yeah.
earned your right on land or whatever kind of thing. So it was really an awesome experience. Just
That's why I like the Air Force. We went to Thule, we stayed in the hotel, we flew to Allure, we dropped fuel off, it was very cold and I never wanted to go back, went back to Thule and then I never got on that plane again to go there.
I'll say this too: no toilet paper, right? No toilet
Yes,
paper allowed.
no toilet paper.
Snow.
Yeah.
So you build a wall.
Yep.
You literally take blocks of snow, build a wall.
Yep.
And
Your
it's so
bathroom
cold
igloo.
you can only expose your skin for a very short time. So you go and then you got to use snow for everything. Hard chunks of snow.
We
No
had-
toilet paper.
No toilet paper. This is
Snow chunks.
snow chunks.
We had
In,
a
like,
PE
minus
we had a
60.
PE instructor. Before we went out on the
Definition of
land,
snow.
we had someone come and instruct us.
Yeah.
Because for women, the minute the trousers are down and the cold hits, your bladder's empty.
Yeah.
Right? It just happens. For men, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
The bladder doesn't empty. And both have hazards to them. So then this guy, you take your jacket off, you put it around your knees, you squat, and you think, as Mike says, you think, why would I need this training? Why would I ever? But you find yourself at the ice hotel in Quebec going, I know how to do this. No, it is, we train so that when you're there, when the shit's coming in, it just, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna tuck and roll, I'm gonna go.
yeah, we ran out of toilet paper in Norway.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing a couple of guys just go up to the top of the hill and pull their pants down and slide down the hill.
Yeah.
And then there were snow baths.
Yes.
Did you ever take
yes,
those?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you heat the tent
Rough
up
it
to
up.
150 degrees, right? And strip down to your underwear, and you're all hot. You go out in the minus 30, roll around the snow,
Scrub.
go back in the tent, and it melts off, and you wipe it off. That's your bath.
Yeah.
So that's all you got at for 2 or 3 weeks in the field, because they weren't going to set up shower units because you were on infantry exercise and you were moving all the time. So that's how you kept clean. So that was quite interesting.
Anybody anybody's kids join, or would anybody recommend their kids to join?
Why wouldn't you?
Well, I tempted to, but
Yeah.
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 I have a nephew that's in, and another nephew that's in the process right now. He's just waiting on the phone call, really. He's supposed to done all this stuff. But, it's taking a while to get in now, through medical backlog and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Although they're trying to streamline it, but I think it's the right choice for him. My kids, I'm not sure. I mean, maybe it depends on what they want to do. They're still young at this point, so it's different.
I might be wrong, but I think it depends on the economy too. A lot of Maritimers joined the forces. I don't know if you did, Jack, or not, but because what other work was there? You get out of high school, and if there wasn't any work, well, there was always the military. And now, the military is a good career. It gives you a decent wage and job security, and so there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that seems to be more competition, of more opportunity for people, even if the economy is down, that there seems to be more work available than I graduated in the 80s, and there wasn't any work in New Brunswick, so it would have been an easy job to join the military, except I had no inkling to do it. And then in the 2004 I did. So yeah.
And somebody telling you who to do and what to do and when to do it and how to do it is not always everyone's favorite.
No.
You have to.
It's good for some people.
It's good for some people.
That was good for me.
others, yeah.
My son joined. He was finishing high school, didn't really know what he wanted to do. Kind of wanted to be a mechanic, right? And so then he decided was March, and school was ending that year, right? So he decided he was going to join the military, but he wanted to be a vehicle tech. And I said, why would you want to be? Well, I like working on cars, and that's why I want to be a vehicle tech. And I said, do you like to lay in snowbanks and in the mud to fix vehicles, or do you like to do it in the garage? Well, I'm going to do it in the garage. I said, well, then you probably don't want to be a vehicle tech. I said, because they go to the field and they fix vehicles in the field and in the snow and the mud and the cold. I said, you want to be like your dad was, an avian tech, fix aircraft in a nice warm hangar, nice clean aircraft. And I said, and then on the evenings and weekends, you can work on cars in your garage or in wherever. He's like, no. That's probably a good idea. I said, and you get spec pay, me and ABN. What's that mean? More money. Oh yeah, I like that one. Yeah. So he joined, signed up.
My first posting was at CIFSI in Kingston, and you'd have people come in and say, I want to leave, I want to quit, this is, I don't like the training, don't like the whatever. And you'd say, how close are you to the end? Because you sign up for that 3-year contract. And if at the end of 3 years you say, it's not for me, and walk away, then on your resume for the rest of your life is, I was a member of the Canadian Forces for 3 years, and it says stuff about you. If you quit, then, the federal jobs that aren't there for you because you've left and so I'd say, just, if you can tough it out, that first commitment, it really does, it sets you up for other things.
Yeah.
There's nobody that looks at as a resume that says you were a member of the Canadian Forces and says, well, that didn't do you any good. Why'd you stay 5 years at the DARD? But not why'd you stay 5 years in the military? It's always going to be a feather in your cap, I think.
If you were to do it all over again, would you do it over again? The exact same type of path or very similar path within your military?
Yeah, probably, but do it younger.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I would probably do it again. I would like, as an NCM, and now what I'm doing as well. I mean, I've kind of found my passion. I always wanted to be a teacher too, but I found a roundabout way to do it by teaching my occupation and then now moving to be a TDO. But I think I would probably choose a different occupation from the outset, which is what I wanted to begin with. I just ended up falling kind of into this almost in a similar way to you, is what they were hiring at the time. Just so happened to be what my brothers did. But I think from the beginning I probably would have done something else, but still an NCM, started as an NCM.
I mean, that's a good background, a basis, starting point. I think to build your confidence and your ability to lead and problem solve. works really well. And then decide your occupation. I mean, if they allowed that, I know a lot of armies do. They say, okay, you have to come join us 3 years in the infantry, and after that, you can decide what you want to do.
Right.
We don't do that here. We, it'd be nice if they did, you know. But, they do give you the option of trades, but it's the trades that they want to fill at the time. And that's that's a bit of a drawback. That's what held me back too. Because, we'll take you in as a logistics. I don't regret going, but if I had my time back, what I know now, I would have probably sped things up a little bit in how I got in and what type of occupation I was doing. Yeah.
I think my body could have joined earlier, but the trade I was in and the life experience that I hadn't brought to that trade, I think it was the right time. As I say, medically released, what I saw and did in Afghanistan affected me mentally, and that's the rest of my life. But would I have wanted to be in during the cold, dead years of nobody going anywhere doing anything? Probably not. So I think for me, it was the right time and the right experience. So if I was to do it again, I'd do what I did.
Thank you for listening to these stories of service. This recording was created to honor the experience of those who serve and have served in the Canadian Armed Forces, and to help families and community members better understand what military life is really like. If these stories moved you, we encourage you to share them and to keep these conversations going. This program is supported by the Province of Ontario Senior Community Grant Program.